Mehouviu and Morusa. Today's story unfolds in an era when headhunting practices was not only a means to resolve territorial conflicts, but also a way to showcase one's strength and skill in society. Mehouviu was the most charming woman of her village. Added to that blessing, she possessed a very pleasant personality. Many young men in her village sought her affection, but she felt she was not ready to choose any of them as a husband. Part of her refusal probably lay in the fact that some of her friends had told her of a warrior, Morusa, who could possibly become a suitor. The rumors were confirmed when relatives of Morusa came to ask for her hand, and they were readily accepted. Morusao was a legendary warrior from Kidema village, known far and wide for his strength and bravery. His reputation was unmatched. There were a few who had not heard of him. He was tall and powerful. He had taken many heads already. One day, his uncles advised him to take a wife, and when someone suggested the noble Mehouviu, the warrior agreed without hesitation to pursue her as his bride. Everything would have gone smoothly if the two did not live in the time where honor and reputation were highly valued. The quest for honor drove men into battlefield again and again. Warriors hunted down their enemies, seeking to kill and take their heads as trophies to prove their bravery. That was the life Morusa lived. It endangered his life to the extent where he could not indulge in ordinary courtship of his betrothed. He could not visit her and indulge in long, meaningful conversations that usually marked their engagement. He was preparing to marry a woman he had never seen, but had heard good enough reports of to make him confident that he was making a wise choice. Meanwhile, Mehouviu was filled with excitement. She celebrated with her female friends, eagerly waiting for her wedding day. However, a few weeks before the wedding, she had the strangest of dreams. She recounted to her friends that she dreamed she was in Morusa's house with a heaped plate of rice and a meat set before her. Her listeners thought it was simply a vision of things to come. When she gets married, Mehove would become a member of Morusa's rich household. However, the dream continued to haunt her, repeating itself night after night. With a few days left to the wedding, Morusa became restless. He felt a desire to impress his bride by doing something to show he is worthy. For the warrior, that meant that he wanted to take a trophy of war and prove himself as a worthy suitor. Driven by the desire to impress his bride, he set out on this quest. But on that day, he did not encounter any enemy warriors at all. He decided to travel on further. As fate would have it, his steps led him to a village which, unknown to him, was the village of his beloved Mehouviu. The village was mostly empty, with its inhabitants away, tending to their fields. However, he saw a woman weaving on her porch. She had long hair, was tall, with graceful figure. At first, he hesitated to harm such a beautiful woman, but as he admired her shiny hair, he thought how well it would serve as a trophy of war. So he stepped up to her swiftly, taking her by complete surprise. He knocked the weaving loom off her and drove his spear into her heart. Next, he took her head as a trophy and proudly carried it home. The two villages of the engaged couple were located some distance apart. Mehouviu's relatives were devastated to discover her dead just days before her wedding. They quickly sent messengers to Morusa's village, where preparations for the wedding were going on. The tragic news of her death reached Morusa, along with the revelation that a warrior had killed her. Morusa was heartbroken at this news, but the circumstance of her death sounded suspiciously familiar. Eventually, Morusa and his relatives pieced together the information they had and faced the sad truth that he had unknowingly killed his own beloved. The shock and grief of both clans was unimaginable. This tragic tale is often shared as a warning and condemnation for the brutal practice of headhunting. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to discover more enchanting tales and rich traditions from the comfort of your home.